Welcome, everyone. Happy Independence Day. I'm so glad to be able to share with you all this beautiful day, a day to be grateful for all the changes we're free to make. I want to remind everyone to check your phones and make sure they don't disturb the service. And we're delighted to have communion today and to have our particularly auspicious message from Dr. Wiggins.
What a pleasure it is to see you all. Am I alive?
Are you turned on up there?
I'm turned on up here.
Yeah. Try again.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? You can. That's fine. That's the important thing. Welcome, welcome, welcome on this beautiful day, this Independence Day.
Here we go.
Okay?
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, now you can hear me. That's good. The knobs have got to be turned in a certain way.
Exactly.
It's true. And we welcome those who are here in the room and all those who might be looking at us over Facebook or YouTube or whatever they are using. It's an auspicious day, isn't it? And I'll be talking about that a little bit more, a little bit later. But today I wanted to open our service with a Bible verse that is powerful. Powerful in the misunderstanding that has existed for millennia over it, and powerful for its inner meaning. This is John 14, 6 and 7. Jesus saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also, and from henceforth ye know him and have seen him. Now, that is a powerful verse. And it has, as I said, been misunderstood for millennia. It was interpreted as Jesus saying, it's by me and only by me that you get to the Father, that you get to God. And that is not the Aramaic real meaning of it. What Jesus was saying was, I am the way, the truth, and the life. What I teach, how I live, how I interact with other people, that is the way to life, to a greater spiritual life, to a greater personal life with the people around me, with my family and friends. That is how one lives triumphantly and spiritually as well. It did not mean that I'm the way and the only way. Everybody else is wrong. No. There are other paths to God. But this teaching, Jesus' teaching, embodies the fullness of the message that he got from God. Now, he was speaking all the time. If you see the Father, you see me. Yes, because he somehow communicated on an ongoing basis with God. It was a phenomenon. He was a spiritual genius. And what he heard the Father say, he did. And what he saw the Father do, he did. It's sprinkled throughout the New Testament. So, yes, we can say yes to his message. We can say, yes, I agree. Yes, I'm going to live that way, lovingly. Loving God with all my heart and loving my fellow man. I will express that to him. And through that comes what we celebrate today, freedom. Spiritual freedom, mental and emotional freedom as well. So that's something to celebrate. If you have known me, you should have known my Father also. I'm communicating what he's saying to me, what he's communicating to me. And from henceforth, you know him and have seen him. In what I do, what I say, what I communicate to you. The principles, the ever loving and ever living principles that our elder brother taught. Well, thank you. Thank you, John, for giving us that powerful message. Now, shall we together say our divine silent statement of being? God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
You're a grand old flag. You're a high-flying flag. And in peace may you ever wave. You live to love the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. Every heart beats true. Red, white, and blue. Well, there's never a boast or brag. But should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag. Every heart beats true. Keep the red, white, and blue. Never a boast or boast. Should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag. 'Cause I'm a Yankee Doodle dandy, I'm a Yankee Doodle dog, a real nephew of my Uncle Sam, going on the 4th of July. I've got a Yankee Doodle sweetheart, she's my Yankee Doodle joy. A Yankee Doodle Bettina and just to ride a pony. I am a Yankee Doodle boy. We mount and shout hooray, we flag and banners gay. What is it but the glorious 4th we celebrate today? This is the day of the flames on earth, when battle eagles roar, to love the USA. That's my 4th medley.
And this is the time in our service when we just get still. Close our eyes and scan our bodies. Make sure that our faces and our shoulders, arms, and hands are relaxed. We so often find ourselves, tense physically. But right now we make a special effort to get still. Still the body, relax the body. Spine, the stomach, legs and feet. Take a deep breath, cleansing breath. Letting it out slowly as we can, comfortably. And let the stillness fill us. Because when we become physically still and quiet, mentally we begin to slow down that frantic pace that our thoughts seem to proceed on. Monkey mind, that's what some people have called it. Chatter, chatter, chatter. But right now, with physical relaxation, can come a slowing of that mental chatter and the stilling of it, so that we begin to feel an inner calm, quietude, a peace, knowing that right where we are, God is. God, omnipresent, omniactive, omnipotent, all-powerful, omniscient, all-knowing. How wonderful it is to be able to lean on that. I don't know how, but God does. And God shows me the way. On this beautiful day, this day of celebration in our country, we relax into spiritual freedom, because the loving way is always the way of freedom. We draw in that breath again and we relax. We give thanks for all that this day means. Not just fireworks and picnics, perhaps family, perhaps just a day of rest. But we give thanks for those who have sacrificed so that we can celebrate this day. The sacrifice has not stopped, it is ongoing. Those who protect us locally, nationally, those who accommodate us by making certain that all the electricity works and the gas. There is fuel to fuel our cars this day. Those people who are working to make it convenient for us. We give thanks for all the people that we don't even think of. We give thanks for the quiet of our neighborhoods. We give thanks for all the good that is ours every day. Right now we're going to have a period of 90 seconds in which we invite you to give thanks for all the freedoms that we enjoy. Due to all the people, the invisible people, who've gone before us and who make our lives comfortable, easy, this day and every day. Why don't we do that starting right now? Come unto me, all ye who suffer and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. And yes, indeed, we turn to that one invincible power, and we can rest right there in the consciousness of good that is always present, because God is always present. We think lovingly of friends, family, loved ones, near and far, and give thanks for them this wonderful day. We think of all the people who are on our Valley Community prayer list and send to them thoughts of love, a consciousness that they are in the arms of God, our Samuel. We give thanks for our armed forces, far-flung and in our country. We bless and know that God is leading our Congress, our President. We bless our whole country, knowing that if they turn to God, and even when they don't, God is with them, inviting the very best from them, as He does every one of us. The opportunity to express the Christ within, our soul strengths. For the good of this day, for the blessing of this day, we give deepest thanks. Amen. And now shall we recite the Aramaic translation of the Lord's Prayer. The Aramaic, as interpreted and translated by Rocco Errico. It's a beautiful version, a true version, really, of the Lord's Prayer. Right out of Jesus' mouth. Together. Our Father, who is everywhere, your name is sacred, Your kingdom is come. Your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. You give us our needful bread from day to day, and you forgive us our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. And you let us not enter into materialism, but you separate us from error. Because yours are the kingdom, the power, and the song and praise from all ages, throughout all ages, sealed with faith, trust, and truth. Amen. Well, I'm going to be talking about a path to true freedom this morning. Today, 4th of July, special day, celebration day, certainly in our country. It's the day that in 1776 the Continental Congress approved and adopted Thomas Jefferson's Declaration of Independence from England. It was followed by a Constitution in 1787 and a Bill of Rights in 1791, but only after a bloody War of Independence, which, thank goodness, we won, and by a whisker, really. But in so doing, we assured ourselves of freedoms that have existed for all this time, 200 years plus. Now, many people have fought, bled, and died so that we can celebrate our individual freedoms and our country's independence this day. Wonderful day. While we're assured, though, of these constitutional freedoms, unfortunately, most people don't live lives of inner freedom. We often live lives of varying degrees of fear. We're worried, sometimes frantic, about our finances or our health or relationships or our safety or some kind of negative change in our lives. We don't like change, none of us. Not very much anyway. But it comes along and we're fearful of it sometimes. We spend time, sometimes sleepless nights, deeply concerned, worrying about the people we love, who might be not well. We sometimes fear their safety, their finances, or maybe a decision that would be a bad decision for them that they might make, that they haven't made, but they might. They might make it. Now, what would real mental freedom look like? Mental freedom would mean consistent inner peace. Inner peace. Contentment. Kind of a cheerfulness. An easy acceptance of momentary inconveniences instead of being outraged by them. It would make us have an attitude that others might think of as being happy-go-lucky. That might look like freedom, inner freedom, from the outside. Mental freedom might find you accepting of other people rather than critical of them. It would mean feeling grateful so many times during the day. It would mean a closer walk with God. And I had the pleasure of hearing about someone who has this kind of inner peace and freedom. I visited my dentist, a 6-month checkup, you know, and Dr. J. Fuller Robinson is his name, and he's almost 93 years young. And he walks Mill Mountain every day. Walks all the way to the top, gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning, walks to the top of the mountain. My goodness, and lean. Well, I sat down in the chair and I remembered that his son, who is also a dentist by the name of Dr. Johnny Robinson, had been diagnosed with very serious cancer. And of course, I hadn't seen Dr. Fuller Robinson for 6 months. But Johnny was not only a dental surgeon with a practice here in Roanoke, but he also taught at MCV, and he wrote many, many articles for professional journals. Multi-talented person, very, very bright. So in the 6 months, I wondered what had happened. So I asked, well, how's your son doing? And he answered, the most amazing thing happened. This all started back in May 2020. Johnny began feeling sick. Seemed unlikely because he's a very athletic person and a very positive man. He's run up McAfee's Knob something like 900 plus times. This is the kind of athlete he is. But the doctor diagnosed him with lymphoma, which is cancer of the lymph glands. And I'm sure after the initial shock and astonishment that he would come down with such a deadly illness, well, it wasn't really deadly, but what grew within him, surprisingly, is this sense of peace. A kind of calm sense of acceptance of what was happening. And of course, at first, there was every reason to expect a positive outcome because lymphoma is a curable disease for the most part. But as the months dragged on, despite the fact that the doctors, who were probably friends of his, they tried everything they knew, every technique, every medicine they could lay their hands on. Nothing helped. Still, he felt no worry, no anxiety about it. He was at peace. He was accepting of what was happening to him. Now, this didn't mean that he didn't love his life, because he did. He felt such gratitude for what he could, step back and see was a really what he called a perfect life, full of things he loved to do and people he loved to be around, and just kind of basic positive attitude toward everything. And gradually he had to include within that sense of peace a sense that his death was impending. They weren't able to do anything about it. He was even able to talk to his sons while he was still at home and say goodbye to them. He told them, you guys are fine, and both of them are doing so very well. Everything is as it should be. That's the viewpoint he took of it. Well, his health got worse and worse, and he finally had to go into the hospital. And because of the COVID restrictions, no one in the family could visit him. He was alone in his hospital room lots of times. No nurses going in and out, just quiet. And with plenty of time to think, and lots of time, believe it or not, beginning to feel the prayers that people were saying for him. He could feel these prayers of family and friends. And he felt the love of God through those prayers. The presence of Spirit never dimmed. Spirit was always there with him. Johnny never lost that trust in God that brought him such a profound peaceful feeling. And despite the illness, despite feeling sick, he still felt that peace. Finally, what proved to be a Sunday night, he was so sick that it wasn't expected that he was going to make it till morning. His lungs, his liver, his kidneys were all shutting down. Nothing was working. And actually, his extended family had already started gathering, fully expecting the worst, and then a funeral within just a few days. But something happened that Sunday night. We call it a miracle. Medicine calls it a spontaneous remission. But Monday morning found him completely well, in spite of being so close to death the night before. The x-rays showed no cancer at all. It wasn't a near-death experience, it was no dramatic light, but spirit never dimmed for him. That room was filled with spirit. There was, even when he felt the worst, this perfect peace. No anxiety, absolute trust in God. Should have been frightening. I mean, if you weren't, in and out of consciousness, you should have been frightened. But that was not the case. Instead, he regards it as a positive experience. It gave him a new perspective on life, a greater appreciation of life. It showed him the importance of relationships, of love given and received, and certainly the incomparable feeling, the value of trust in God. Trust in that presence. Spirit never dimmed. Trust in God is the path to true freedom. Trust in God. There are probably other ways, but how clear and how powerful Dr. Johnny Robinson's experience makes it for us today. In our church, we talk so often about how we can affect our lives in a positive way, in a healing way. And we talk about the transformative power of positive thinking, of positive expectations in life, of affirmations and gratitude and forgiveness. These are all such powerful ways to change our physical health, absolutely. Our mental climate, the relationships in our lives, our workplace, the whole thing. Our whole lives can be transformed through these avenues. For the better, of course. But we have to remember that we're not just working on changing our state of mind, as important as that is, but much more importantly, a way of feeling. Changing your mind is indispensable. That's the first step, absolutely. But the change has to go to deeper depths within us. It has to go into our feelings. When a thought or belief becomes a feeling, we've got it nailed. That's where we want to be. The feeling we want is trust in God. No second guessing, no, but what if? None of that. No relapses, flat out. Trust. Unshakable. Unshakable trust. But how do you develop unshakable trust in God? How do you do that? Jesus had that kind of trust. It wasn't easy for him, but he had it. In the Garden of Gethsemane, knowing full well what he was facing, he was able to pray, "Thy will be done." And unspeakable good came out of what appeared to be absolute evil. God is all knowledge, all wisdom, all understanding, all love. Divine mind created a universe of perfect balance. The mathematics of the Big Bang was perfect. Now, if the expansion of the universe had been too fast, it would have pulled matter apart before it could create stars and galaxies and planets like Earth. If the Big Bang had been the tiniest bit too slow, it would have some point stopped expanding and started contracting, and what would have followed was a big crunch. The universal presence is perfect, is all-powerful, is all knowledge. How did organic life come out of inorganic matter? God's will in action. How did consciousness, self-consciousness, come about out of organic matter? God's will in action. How was the most complex thing that has ever been created in the universe that we know of, that is the human brain, that 3 pounds of mass inside our skulls, how was that created? God's will in action. Simple logic tells us that trust in this universal presence of love, this unlimited power of God, the good, is reasonable. It's practical. It makes perfect good sense to trust. I'd like you to try a thought experiment in just a couple of minutes with me. Now, probably most people, if not all people, have these small fear thoughts. They're little stories where you say, what if? And somehow these little fear scenarios have a way of coming back and coming back. Well, of course, they're logically nonsense and nothing like that's going to happen to me. But they keep coming back. Maybe the secret fear is going to the doctor and having him pronounce some terrible disease that you might have. Some other people's secret fear is someone breaking into your home. You go into your house and something's wrong. Maybe it's a secret fear of your car breaking down at night in a lonely place, leaving you on the side of the road and then someone taking advantage of that. Maybe germs are what give you the creeps. Maybe members of your family have gotten dementia or Alzheimer's, and the thought that you might have that too someday bothers you. All kinds of dark stories we sometimes tell ourselves. Now, the experiment is this. Will God's will concerning that possibility? It's probably not even probable, not likely. No. But try willing God's will for that. Now, if something really negative is rearing its ugly head in your life, then it's all the more important to say something like this to yourself. If it's God's will, then I'm absolutely okay with it. It's fine. I'm at peace with the truth that even though it might feel and sound and be awful, some greater good is going to come through it. It will bless somehow and benefit, perhaps teach, influence in some way, perhaps a deep positive change in the people around me, the people who love me, the ones who know me. I can only see a tiny part of my place in the scheme of things, but God knows it all. God knows it all and sees all of the ramifications in those whose lives I touch. Let His will be done, because it's got to be perfect. It's got to be good. That's His nature. So, in just a few moments, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes, and we're going to have 1 minute of silence. Not yet, but what I'd like you to do in that 1 minute is identify any of these kind of nagging little stories that you might tell yourself. and feel God's will be done. Feel it. If it happens, whatever it is, it's okay. If it's happening right now, it's okay. I know that greater good than I can imagine is going to come forth from it, because that's the way God works. Now, for 1 minute, will you close your eyes? And now would you please open your eyes? I don't know if you felt it. 1 minute is such a short period of time. But I guarantee that you will find what Dr. Johnny Robinson found. That is a sense of peace, total peace. Instead of that sneaky fear thought, that little story you might tell yourself. Peace. No anxiety. Now don't believe me. Please, don't take my word for it. Try it. If you are presently dealing with some great big monster thing, negative, terrible, it's happening in your life, or the life of somebody you love, perhaps. Say to yourself, feeling it, God's will be done. We are helpless ourselves. God is all-powerful and all good. We know that the highest good is going to come out of it. What will result for you is inner peace, inner freedom, true freedom, and an inner acceptance that everything is as it should be. That acceptance of things unfolding in the way they should, and that all is well, no matter how they look, that bestows on you a sense of freedom. The path to true freedom is thinking and feeling to your depths, God's will be done. Long ago, I made up a little poem for myself, a little saying. Thy will, thy way, always, always. And I've said it so many times to myself. God's will, God's way, always, always. But then start marveling at the profound inner freedom that fills your life, that fills your mind. Shall we go within? And give thanks when we can find a sense of, yes, this infinite power, this presence of love, this good, this spiritual father, mother, friend, beloved, has given each and every one of us absolute freedom to make the decisions we want. God doesn't interfere, ever. We are independent souls. We make decisions every day, many of them. Some very good, some okay, sometimes not so good. But that's our freedom. But when we freely will God's will, we are doing the most powerful thing we can do for ourselves. Try it. Amen.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountain to the prairie, to the ocean, why we fall. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. From the mountain to the prairies, to the ocean, why would fall? God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Thank you, William. Now, shall we have Jan? It's your turn.
You want to do the blessing of the gifts first?
Oh, yes. Well, we can go ahead with the. You want to do the announcements before the
Communion, yes.
communion?
Yes. Mhm.
Afterwards, okay. So, this morning we're going to share communion. Some of the meanings of the word communion mean to share and to receive, as when two people share with one another. They both give, they both receive from one another. So we're going to share communion, but we're going to share it with ourselves, and then we are going to say these same words to other people as well. In our communion service, we say to ourselves primarily, and then to those around us, I behold the freedom of the Christ in you. And what does that mean? I behold the truth that God has put within you His own image and likeness. And as we realize that truth, I'm God writ small. I have all these qualities within me to express, to enjoy, to bless other people with. As I realize that, I am free. And so, both in honor of this day, the 4th of July, and speaking to the truth of ourselves, we are going to say to ourselves, I behold the freedom of the Christ, your soul nature. I behold the freedom of the Christ in you. So I invite you to each take your communion and open it up. And there's a little wafer inside. I don't know how to get to the wafer. I should have practiced this before.
It's tricky.
You can get to the wafer, fine. If you can't, then shall we drink our grape juice and say to ourselves this truth? I behold the freedom of the Christ. And then would you turn to your neighbor and say it to them as well? I behold the freedom of the Christ. It is a celebration, truly. Share that thought, that belief, that feeling with one another, because it is the truth of us. I thank you so much for taking part in our communion service. And now, Jan,
I'll be right there. Good morning.
Good
morning.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. Hope everybody had a safe night with fireworks going on everywhere. So, a lot of us have animals, and we tried our very best to keep people from doing fireworks, and sometimes it doesn't work so well. But anyhow, hope everybody had a safe night with that. Today is birthday Sunday, and so as always, we celebrate the first Sunday of the month for birthdays. And July birthdays are Tom Dean, Rick Mylon, Wendy, Doug, and Martha. And I think Doug is the only one that's here this morning. And so anyhow, we will sing happy birthday anyhow. And we want to thank Doug for providing the birthday dessert for today. So thank you so much, and enjoy that after the service. So just and many more, Doug. 25 again today, keeping up with me. The flowers today are sponsored by Laurel, and they're beautiful, so thank you, Laurel, for the flowers today. Ian's meeting this Friday?
yes, there
7
is.
o'clock. Video again? Another video?
Yes. Oh, I wanted to announce our IONS meeting, and that is the International Association of Near-Death Studies. We are going to have available to us all of the lectures and speakers of the 2020 conference. So participants will be able to look at this banquet of opportunities that different fine speakers, all experiencers, and choose which one they would like to see this coming Friday at 7 o'clock. And it should be an interesting meeting. Thank you.
All right. Also, coffee night this week will be, we'll be having it outside the first Wednesday and the first Saturday of the month. And Al-Anon meets here, so we'll be having our coffee for the ones that come. We'll be meeting out in the gazebo, so the weather should be wonderful, and we'll be doing that. So and I'll remind you before Wednesday afternoon, so we don't walk in on the meetings. So anyhow, also there are some fresh zucchini in the kitchen on the table. As most of you know, Nancy has been out of town. I've gotten her little zucchini plant from here over here, and she keeps saying, pull them. Zucchini, take them, please. She will be back on Tuesday. She's been gone a little over a month with the Florida for the ones that do not know, she got her to be with her daughter. So she will be back on Tuesday. Thank you. So I'm so glad of that. But anyhow, I know she's enjoyed being down there, even though it was not under the best circumstances. But anyhow, she told me yesterday that she's hoping to fly out Tuesday morning before the storm hits. So pray that that happens. So anyhow. Other than that, the other thing, we've talked about this a little bit, is that our project for this year will be fixing the parking lot. And some of us went last Sunday after church and visited some parking lots that one of our people that we've talked about doing the parking lot had repaved. So we looked at those, and we're still going to look at some more. But that is the project for this year. The cost so far, what we're looking at now, is probably between $5,000 and $6,000. So it's going to be our fundraiser for this year, but I do know that we're getting a donation again for something for that, and that we're probably going to do the matching game again. So I will let you know more as that transpires, but the word is that we'll be getting another donation. So that was good news for today. Happy 4th of July. So, anybody else got anything? Okay, let's go eat some cake. Cheesecake.
Just one other thing, and that is the blessing of forgiveness. So, shall we have that, please? We read it together. Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God. And as usual, we will spend just a very few moments in prayer for our country, because it is a momentous time with many pressures on our legislators, our executive branch, the courts, etc. And our prayers help. So shall we have 1 minute of silence? Is blessed with your thoughts, your prayer this morning. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful 4th of July.